What's going on, everybody? Welcome in. It's the Wager Alarm Friday Night Ticket, baby. Live stream here. I'm Howard Bender. With me, of course, Craig Mish. And it's time, Craig. Here we go. We've watched the lines move up and down throughout the week here. It's time to settle in, make our picks for the Golden Nugget Ultimate Football Challenge and the Westgate Super Contest. How you feeling this week about the games?
Pretty good, I think. We're at the halfway point of the NFL season and week 9 of the college football season. We've seen some movement, especially in some of the NFL lines, and it's really been dicey for the NFL having to give picks and having to have our picks in by today when we really didn't know the full status of the Chiefs quarterback, the full status of the Saints quarterback, the full status of the Falcons quarterback, and not really knowing what to make of the Bears, the Titans, the Bucks, the Chargers. There's just a lot of uncertainty in the NFL. So, but I do think we have some solid picks in college this week as well, and we'll go over them also. Of course, good week last week, good week the week before, and we really over the 8 or 9 weeks that we've done this, we really only had one dud, thankfully, so far. So, ironically, what you'll see a lot in this live stream tonight is we're just kind of going back to what has been working, which in general, especially in college, you can kind of ride that. As we talked about at the beginning of the season, some teams just get hot. They start winning a lot of games and ride themselves to a bowl game at the end of the year. And conversely, some teams are just done at this point. And believe it or not, there are kids that are trying to make grades in late October, November, and December to keep themselves in school. And so studies become very important for some of these kids as well. I know it may not seem that way, but it is the case on especially some of the better schools out there. So, but I think for the most part, we really have a showdown in college coming up in a couple of weeks, no doubt, between Alabama and LSU, and that'll be a lot of fun. The SEC still has the marquee game this week between Auburn and LSU. LSU is about a 10.5 point favorite in this one. The other one, of course, is Michigan, Notre Dame. This is really like the last stand probably for Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. He'll have this one, and then he'll have Ohio State. Still struggling.
Do you have a lean on that game at all? Like,
yeah, I think I would lean Notre Dame. Yeah, I'd lean Notre Dame. Yeah, I think so. I think Notre Dame is going to put themselves in a position again to have to make the playoff committee knock them out because they'll probably finish 5. But they're again, we've talked about this. After last year, they're not going to put them back.
Right. No, I'm not worried about that. I was just more curious as to whether or not.
I think Notre Dame in a week. I believe Notre Dame had the week off last week, and Michigan entered the back door and covered against Penn State. They played a little bit better than some people thought, which obviously means that they covered, but I'm just really sour on the Wolverines, Howard. I don't know. I just, they're really playing for nothing at this point. Look, they'll get up for this game against the Irish, no doubt, and they'll really get up for the game against Ohio State, but talent-wise, they just don't look that good this year.
No, they definitely don't look that good. I'm not a fan of either program, actually. I'm not a fan of Harbaugh as a coach, so I was just curious as to whether or not you had a lean on that one there. Obviously, the public loves betting Notre Dame.
Yeah, so. I'm not a huge. I mean, look, I think Ohio State is an elite team, but in terms of the Big Ten, what are we talking? And we have one of the games that we'll talk about here in the Big Ten. But what are we talking about? We assume Ohio State is good, and we assume Penn State is good. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now beyond that, think about this. You have 2 teams that we're going to talk about here in Iowa and Northwestern that can't score at all. There's no offense whatsoever. You could make the argument that Michigan, their season is more or less done. Michigan lost to Wisconsin, who lost being a 30-point favorite to Illinois, who has no business winning anything. You have Rutgers in this conference, which we'll talk about here in a minute as well. This is not a good year for the Big Ten. They're going to get themselves probably...
The Gophers!
Minnesota's good. I will say that. Minnesota's a good team. They're going to get themselves, my guess is, let's say, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Michigan State, Iowa, maybe one more. They're going to get 6 teams in bowl games. I would not be shocked if
they lost them all.
They lose them all. Yeah, or close to them.
Well, looking forward to our bowl game preview when we get to do that, because that's just like
a month away.
Big Ten? Nope. Sorry.
We are not that far away from doing that. We're going to start knowing the bowl games right after Thanksgiving.
Looking forward to that.
We did very well at that last year, by the way.
That
was
really
a big
well.
Yeah.
Really well. Even without seeing Lafayette, Louisiana.
I mean, we came on that live stream. We're like, all right, before we get started here, just go run to bed Army as fast as you can. The line's going to change.
Absolutely.
And they won by like the biggest bowl margin of the whole bowl season. So That is just so important, is getting in on those games, Howard, before the players don't play. We had that list you and I compiled of all the players that were going to be playing in the bowl games. And we're like, okay, we're taking this team, we're taking that team. But look, it's fun to do this all season long. We are definitely, like the dog days of baseball, we are definitely in that dog day of the college and pro football season. We're like at that middle point where, it's like a couple of this week in particular, especially in college, there aren't a lot of great games. But that's going to change real quick as you start to see these some of the big teams face off against each other.
That's the way it is in college. In the NFL, it's not that much different. Like you started off with here, we don't know 3 different quarterback situations. We're looking at running backs who are in, who are out. I mean, Arizona lying to everybody about what's going on with their injury report. I mean, This is going to be a tough time. I like our picks. I like some of the lines. Some of the lines are just
it's hard to predict some of these teams.
Sure,
the disappointing thing for me so far hasn't been the picks necessarily in the NFL. The disappointing part of the NFL season in general, from a wagering standpoint, is in general what we do is fine. We're picking 5 games against the spread. The average bettor, to be transparent with this, looks at Monday night and looks at Thursday night, and especially Thursday night, Howard. And after not betting on football for a few days, I think everybody likes to have action, even if it's not a lot. And so it forces you to be in a situation to pick the Monday night game and sometimes to pick the Thursday night game. And at the end of the day, look at that Sunday night game. And that's why the NFL spreads these games out, is so you have the opportunity to get down on these. Make no mistake about it. I got to tell you, that to me is the most disappointing part of the season, because the night games have been brutal, man. The Mondays, Thursdays, and Sundays. And the lines have been 17 and 16 and 15, and the blowouts on Sunday night and every Monday night, and one team's favored by 15, and Thursday night one team's favored by 16. That's no fun. And I know that the NFL is trying to do the right thing by putting some of these teams on in primetime situations. But Howard, the Redskins and Dolphins within a week, both in prime time, they knew going into the season these teams weren't going to be very good. I mean, send them to London or something instead. But that's what we get on Thursday night and Monday night.
That's the Bengals' job. The Bengals are being sent.
They're 13-point underdogs this week. Look, I know that you can't predict which teams are going to be good and bad going into the year. Okay, that's always going to be difficult to discern. But the 3 worst teams going into the season, everybody knew. Just look at the win totals. The 3 worst teams were the Dolphins, the Redskins, and the Bengals.
Yeah, no
doubt about it. They should not be playing primetime games. They should not. I mean, the Redskins at the very least should be home against Minnesota on Thursday.
And it used to be that way. Like, that was the thing, is that it really used to be that way. You needed to be a top team to be on a primetime game.
Absolutely.
I think we went probably about good 6-7 years with the Jets not even touching a primetime game until they started to show some life here last few years. But that was about it. So, I'm with you. Listen, I'm not going to argue it. I played last night. I took Minnesota. I took the under, and I took given the points.
Well, that wasn't
so I broke even on that one there. But, I mean, Minnesota gets that touchdown there at the end of the game instead of just tanking the rest of the rest of the night, and they cover.
Such a dull game. But think about that. We came off that Thursday night game. We had the Monday night game where the Patriots rocked. You would have thought Sunday night was matching up to be pretty good. I guess we can't blame anybody for that. And usually the Sunday night games at least have the matchup going in that appear to be good, but the results have been they just really have. Atlanta early on in the season against Philadelphia certainly was a great game. A couple Thursdays ago when Seattle played against the Rams and that thing went right down to the end, that was a great game too. You can't predict that Mahomes would get hurt, but in general, I just gave you the 2 best night games of the season. And we're 8 weeks in. Like, I mean, I don't know how. Maybe they should be flexing Monday night too. I don't know the answer.
They might. So, all right. Well, let's get to tonight's lines. Let's talk about who we like. Let's move to we'll start with the Golden Nuggets. Shout out to Monkey Knife Fight, our sponsor here for the live stream. If you guys like prop games, well, Monkey Knife Fight's definitely the way to go. Go to fantasyalarm.com/monkey. And we'll give you, we'll hook you up with the promo code over there, and you'll get a free $10 on your first deposit over at monkeyknifefight.com. So fantasyalarm.com/monkey gets you the promo code and all the information that you need to play some prop games over on Monkey Knife Fight. Now, start off with the Golden Nugget. Let's start off with our college games. I think it's important. Let's just start off with the Rutgers pick because it's actually kind of funny because I've seen a number of people turning around saying that this is not the time to go against Rutgers. And I just kind of laugh at the way that they've looked over the last couple of weeks here. From, what was it, 3 weeks ago it was Maryland, then 2 weeks ago we jumped on it, then last week we jumped on it. I mean, it was Indiana, it was crushing. So, we're looking at it here. It's Liberty. They're -7 at Rutgers. I see no problem here.
Yeah, I mean, I may have had a different view on it if it was 7.5, and that's something else that you have to look at. But look, the line opened at 4 or 5. It quickly went to 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5. It's 7.5 again. By the way, the pushback was at 7. Look, if Rutgers had a bad defense and a good offense, then that's a different story in this game because then you could see these two teams just scoring back. I mean, Rutgers cannot score. They can't. Their defense isn't the worst in all of college football. It's not good. It's bad. But it's not the worst in all of college football. Then you could turn around and say, well, then why'd they give up 42 points to Minnesota? Why'd they give up 55 points to Maryland? Why'd they give up 35 points to Indiana? Because they're still not good on defense, but they're not as bad as maybe a couple of other teams in college football. They can't score at all. They don't pass. They don't run. And I think that in this game, Liberty goes up probably 17-0, 20-0. I mean, I don't think Rutgers scores a touchdown in this game either, Howard. I don't think so. I just don't.
And I'm okay with that. I'm very okay with that. No problem.
Liberty's beaten. New Mexico is not a good football team. I'm not trying to pretend that is, but Liberty's not even a D1 team, and they beat New Mexico. And by the way, I think we mentioned this on the stream Tuesday. Liberty's being paid $1 million to play this game. Matt actually told me that. Sells told me that. I looked, and that's true. $1 million they're being paid to be an underdog. Never seen that in all of my years watching college. I've seen the team paid $1 million come in and beat the team. I've never seen them as an underdog going into the game. Never.
They're not an underdog going into the game.
I've never seen the favorite getting paid $1 million. Ever. Ever.
All right. So that's game number 1. Game number 2, like you said, we were talking about the Big Ten.
Yes.
We're looking at Northwestern +10 against Iowa. Iowa, real stinker of a game going up against Michigan. We took that a couple of weeks ago. They got into the red zone at least 33 times, for 34 maybe.
They have a good kicker.
Put up 3 points.
They have a good kicker. Iowa has a good kicker.
Wasn't even there that day.
They really have nothing else. I mean, no matter if we have a side or a total, I'm not watching this game. This is going to be one of the worst games played in all of college football this week. These are two teams that don't have any offense. Northwestern season, yes, it is done, but they are at home. They're getting 10 in the contest. Right now, you can't get 10 anymore. The line is 8. That's a significant move. We're taking advantage of a nice value pick here, getting 10. It was 10.5 in some other spots, too. Over the last couple of years, Northwestern is 11-5 against the spread as an underdog. Iowa has wins by 10 points this season or more. Here they are. Miami, Ohio, Middle Tennessee State, and Rutgers. That's it for Iowa. I mean, Northwestern has beaten Iowa 2 games straight up in a row. They beat them last year and the year before. I mean, I don't know. I think this game is 13-10, and I think that Northwestern's going to cover this game. I think they have a chance to win.
I love it. All right, so there we go. So that's our second game. Third game here. We're going back to the well again. You know it. The first teams I look at when the lines come out in the Golden Nugget Challenge are the academies. And I was like, Army -9, interesting. Do I want to go there? What? Navy -3.5 against Tulane? I'll take it. These are two of the best rushing offenses in the country right now. Number 1 is Navy. Or no. Number 1 rushing defense is Navy. That was the thing. They're 2 strong rushing teams, both with good rushing defenses. Navy's rushing defense ranks number 1 overall. And I look at this game here, and I think it's going to be close. The half point kind of makes me a little considering they are 2 run heavy schemes, but overall. Sure. I'm taking Navy. I'm taking the midshipmen. They have not let me down.
No, they haven't
so far.
No, and look, Tulane is another running team too. So this game's gonna be over pretty quick because they're just gonna run at each other constantly. I think that look, Navy at this point is one of those teams that they are having a historical type season rushing the ball. They have a really good shot to play in a nice bowl game. They'll get that Army-Navy game coming up in a few weeks. And look, Tulane has had a great year. We're going to find out this week if they overachieved or if they're for real. My guess is they've overachieved a little bit, so we'll lay those points.
We will. And the line's up, actually, it's at Navy -4 right now. So that swings it a little bit in our favor. So I'll take that. Next game that we're looking at, Texas TCU. I like the Longhorns here. I mean, it's a tight game because, you look at TCU. It's not really, it's a home game for TCU. There's a lot happening here. What was I looking at? Oh, I was looking at Max Duggan, the quarterback for TCU.
He's a
freshman. I mean, his stats aren't great. He's been good without the turnovers, but I mean, I look at this one here. I look at it as more of like a pick 'em. I know that we're given the 1 point. Yeah, I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah. Texas last week played against Kansas. It was a huge letdown spot for them. Kansas almost won that game. Texas kicked a field goal late. They were huge favorites in that one. Les Miles just kept going for it on 4th down. He kept throwing in the end zone and almost pulled it off. Texas is 4-0 when they rush for over 100 yards. They're 0-2 when they don't. So this is a game that I think they'll be able to run the ball a little bit on TCU. And TCU is also one of those kind of teams where they can't make mistakes, and they are not coming back in football games because they don't have a great quarterback, as you alluded to. So we'll need Texas to get off to a nice start here. We'll need like a 13-3 start, something like that, and cruise the rest of the way. The fear is obviously if the game is close, it comes down to the last possession, which, again, that's part of handicapping is that you're sometimes going to be in that spot. 3 minutes to go. One team has the ball. They're on the 50. Does the field goal go in? Do they miss it? Does the other team get the ball back? I mean, this happens all the time. So Texas -1 will be our final college pick.
All right. Those are our college picks. Northwestern +10, Liberty -7, Navy -3.5, Texas actually -1.5 over TCU. That's for the Gold Nugget. And then 3 pro games here. We're going to start off with the Bills. We're going to lay the 1.5 on the home team here against the Eagles. To me, this is all about the Eagles' defense. The good, solid run defense. However, when you get a team that has a good, solid run defense and decent pass rushers, when you get a mobile quarterback like Josh Allen, no problem for him to roll out of the pocket, find his receivers downfield. The Eagles have one of the worst secondaries in the NFL. We watched Dallas pick them apart on the Sunday night game. We've seen several teams pick their cornerbacks apart. So when I look at this one here, I think the Bills I think this game can stay close. I don't mind Hauschka as the kicker for the Bills swooping in on this one. But again, I think this is an interesting one where I think Josh Allen actually throws for a couple of touchdowns, runs one in, and I think the Bills' defense holds up against the Eagles.
Yeah, a really interesting line here on this one. I mean, look, on paper, you would think that Buffalo should be 3 or 4 point favorites based on the way that Philadelphia's played. So the odds makers are just not giving them any credit still. But yet, Buffalo has easily covered in every game this season against every team they've played except for the Dolphins last week. Remember, Cincinnati came in the back door with no time left to cover that game a few weeks ago. So against the spread, they've been one of the best teams in the NFL. I'm not really sure. I can't figure it out why the line is so short. I think Buffalo is the better team also. A weird stat that I came across today is for some reason the Eagles, when they're on grass, they do well. When they're on turf, they do horrible. They're 0-3 on turf this season and 3-7 in their last 10 games over the last couple of years. I don't know why that is the case. Really have no idea, but for some reason they don't play well on it. Maybe they don't have the right cleats, Howard. I don't know. But we'll take the Bills -1.5 in this game.
Yes, we will. Next one, we're taking the Panthers, road dogs, going across country, San Francisco 49ers. Listen, the Niners defense is absolutely fantastic. The games that they've been winning have been close games. Yeah, 9-0 in the slop fest against Washington. We've kind of gone against the 49ers with the spread. We did that with the Pittsburgh Steelers when they were 6.5 point underdogs going across country.
We're 2-0 against the Niners. How about that?
How about that?
That's
How
hard to
about
believe,
that?
considering the year that they've had for sure. But yeah, I think
Panthers 4-0 against the spread the last 4 games, and we've been taking them. We've been riding this one.
and they're coming off a good spot. They're coming off a bye week. The 49ers are still banged up. Their fullback is out. Their left tackle is out. So, I mean, look, another game where the 49ers could easily be thrilled to go 7-0 with a 1 or 2 or 3-point win. Like be thrilled with that. And look, the key here is McCaffrey, without a doubt. Did Tampa Bay have the secret sauce the last 2 times they played them, or did he just have a bad game? We're really going to find out this week against San Francisco, because clearly if they bottle up McCaffrey, that's going to be a major problem for us. But again, a 2017 game gives us a win. A 21-17 game still gives us a win. Not a lot of respect for Carolina. I guess people just feel like Kyle Allen eventually is going to fall back, but I don't see Cam Newton coming back anytime soon. Carolina may have a chance to win the game outright. In all likelihood, this is a low-scoring game that Carolina covers, probably has a chance to win in the end.
I'd love it. I'll take my 5.5. Then finally, we are going to Monday night. We are taking that Monday night action.
Everyone is taking this game too. So.
Yeah, well, that's the problem.
But 2 weeks in a row, are we going to get bit by this 2 weeks in a row? I don't think
Are
so.
we? I mean, listen.
It's not the Patriots, is it?
No, it's not. But I mean, listen, the Dolphins 14.5. It's the Steelers, and it's the Steelers getting it's Mason Rudolph instead of Devlin Hodges. Even with Rudolph, it's his first game back. The weapons are limited. Connor always has like a little bumper, bruise there. They might have to turn to Benny Snell a part of this game. There is no rhythm as far as Rudolph goes with Juju Smith-Schuster or Deontay Johnson. So, I mean, it's a 3-score game. It's a 3-score spread, and I can't, if I'm getting 14.5 with the Dolphins,
that's a lot. Yeah,
I'll take it.
I mean, look, the Dolphins looked good against Buffalo. They held in there for a long time. I think Buffalo's a far superior team to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers defense isn't nearly what it was. Their quarterback situation isn't nearly what it was. And once they're up a touchdown or 2 in this game, they're running the ball. Now, look, Fitzpatrick cannot get hurt in this game. That is my only fear. As long as he does not get hurt, I think we cover this one. If he gets hurt, we're dead. Because if Rosen comes in, we're going to get annihilated. That's for sure. But if he plays and he plays the whole game, I think Fitzpatrick keeps this thing close, and we always have that back door wide open for us with this one. The Jets were just done on Monday night. Like that thing, there was no door, there was nothing. There was, all
right. That horse has been beaten dead, and he's at the glue factory.
I can't even see it anymore. And in fact, of some of the games we were actually looking at the Jets, maybe taking them again this week. And early in the week, I felt like it was a great bounce back spot against Jacksonville. As the week went on, I'm like, I don't know. I think they may be just done. And so we're going to pass on them.
They have a cakewalk schedule for the next 7 weeks. They've got 2 against the Dolphins.
I don't know.
On the Bengals. I mean, dude, they're.
Did you watch that Adam Gase press conference yesterday?
Yeah. So.
Oof, I don't know, man. I'm not feeling good. I'm just not feeling good about that.
All right. Well,
team.
We're not touching the Jets.
All right. We're out on the Jets this week.
We're out on the Jets. So for the Golden Nugget, our college games: Northwestern +10, Liberty -7, Navy -3.5, Texas -1.5. For our NFL to complete the 7, it's Bills -1.5, Panthers +5.5, Dolphins +14.5. Now we're going to carry over Bills, Panthers, and Dolphins over to the Super Contest. Now, mind you, Dolphins are only +14.
Right, that's the key.
All right,
that's
so we lose that half point there.
Right, and that could be a big number. Very possible.
Yeah, I don't like it.
But we're still taking those same 3. And so the extra 2 teams that we're taking are?
Well, the first one we're going to go back to that Raiders well. They couldn't possibly be as bad as they were.
I'm willing to go down that road again. I am willing to take the Raiders again. I watched that game. I don't think the final score was an indication of how they played. I think the Raiders have a chance to beat Houston. We don't know how they are going to be from week to week. I still think that they're in it. My only fear in this game is also an injury. I am a little worried about Josh Jacobs because he keeps having to leave these games with a shoulder injury. And if he's not in the game, they got no shot. They got no shot. They need him to be able to run the ball and keep this thing close. I was not all that impressed with Houston last week against Indianapolis. And ironically, when Houston has Hopkins blowing up and having these great games, they don't win. It's when Fuller is playing too on the other side, and Fuller's beating teams down the field, and Hopkins doesn't get the looks because they're double teaming him. Well, right now there's no other weapons. I mean, look, QT's okay,
Kenny
but
Stills?
he's okay.
Okay.
He's not Hopkins.
No.
So, look, if I'm online, I'm buying 7. I'm buying the 7 for sure.
Uh-huh.
But we'll take one more dart throw at the Raiders this week as
There
our
we
fourth.
go. Now, the last game, we've just kind of been back and forth.
We don't know what to do here.
There's a number of situations.
Yeah, this is our probably of all of the entire season. This is probably our least confidence pick out of the 5 in the NFL.
You know what? And it's probably not even that bad of a pick when you come down to it. I mean, we're taking the Colts at home. We're laying 5.5. It's the Broncos. The Broncos just traded away Emmanuel Sanders. Joe Flacco looked like he quit on the team in the first quarter.
Feels right.
He was done. Drew Lock is not ready to go. I don't even know who their third string quarterback is or who they would throw in there to back up Joe Flacco. So
they'd have to put Lock in there. I don't think they have a choice.
He's not off of IR. They haven't activated him yet.
Oh. Bubby Brister?
Bubby
I have no idea.
Oh my God! I would give my left nut for that to be true.
Paxton Lynch,
Bubby Brister. I'm going to the page right now. I gotta. Because I mean, listen, they can take.
I think they have a young guy also, a third young guy.
A third young guy. That's great. That's great. Brandon Allen.
Yes, Brandon Allen from Arkansas, right?
Yes, Brandon Allen from Arkansas, not the Arizona Diamondbacks.
I like Brandon Allen, but man, playing in an NFL game? No, I'm not so sure. Listen, here's what needs to happen with the Colts. And I'll tell you right now, we're going to come back here on Tuesday. Here's what I'm going to tell you. If the Colts turn over the ball less than 2 times, we're going to win. If they turn it over 2 times or more, we're not going to win this one. That's the way it's going to be. I know Denver's turning the ball over once or twice. I know Denver ain't throwing the ball 30 times in this game. The only possible way Denver has a shot is a fumble, a pick, a special teams. That's the only shot that they have to cover in this one. They have no other chance. They're just going to be running the ball. The Colts are very good against the run, and they also protect Bridgewater very well. It would have to be a mistake. By the way, the only reason why Houston was even in that game last week against not Bridgewater, sorry, Brissett. The only reason why he was in that one is because the ball was hiked to Brissett on his own 5. And the dude, I don't even know what he was doing. He just jumped over on the ball and it went to Houston. They scored a touchdown. That's the only reason that game was even close. Houston did nothing all game long. If Brissett doesn't turn the ball over and there's no fumbles, Colts win by 2 touchdowns. If there's some picks and fumbles, we're not going to win because the Colts are not built to blow anyone out, Howard. They are just not.
All right, well, there you go. So Bills minus 1.5, Panthers plus 5.5, Raiders plus 6.5, Dolphins plus 14, Colts minus 5.5. Any leans on any of the other disgusting horror
Kansas
show
City,
games?
Kansas City a little bit. I don't think Kansas City. Look, you can make the Packers a point or 2 favorite. I think 4 is too much even with Matt Moore. Kansas City still has a dynamic team, although I don't love the injuries there. The one game that I really want to do, but I can't ever lay these points on the road, is I do want to take Seattle. I just cannot do it. It's not in my blood anymore. We learned our lesson a few weeks ago, laying 7s and 10s on the road. Do I think Atlanta's going to wake up in this game? No. Do I think they'll get killed? Yes. But, I mean, every game, the Falcons leave the game with the stats that you expect on offense. How does this keep happening? Matt Ryan, last week, maybe an exception, but for the most part, Matt Ryan's leaving with 300 touchdowns, 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Freeman's getting 80 yards and 40 yards receiving. Jones is having a good game. Ridley's having a good game. Hooper's having a good game, and they lose 47-2. I can't figure it out. It happens every week. So Seattle's the better team for sure. They've played better on the road. But this line went from 3 to 7. I was hoping in one of the contests we were going to catch an early line, like a 3.5 or a 4. I would have jumped right on that. But I hate laying road points, man. In college I can. In the NFL,
I understand.
No.
Listen, you only had look at it in the Super Contest. There are 2 home dogs. That's it. So at some point, I mean, we like taking our dogs in these games. And that's been very good to us.
Dogs are covering all year in the NFL again. Road dogs are covering crazy amounts again in the NFL.
Home dogs are, but I'm not taking the Falcons. Not on the chance
the Falcons. I mean, the Bengals.
Take a chance on the Falcons against Matt Schaub possibly under center. No.
Right. 30 to 30. Let's say the Rams are up 30-13 with 5 minutes left. Could the Bengals come down and backdoor again? Maybe they can. The Chargers and Bears is like a complete coin flip. You would think this would be the week that the Bears would wake up, and this would be the week that Nagy would run the ball, right? But you would have thought that last week. Why didn't he do that? I mean, I just can't trust them either. I like Arizona a little bit against the Saints. Going against the Saints has been a losing proposition. Thankfully, we have not gone against the Saints at all. But if there was ever a week that they really don't need a game, this is it. Like, they could go into the bye week with this loss and say, wow, we won every single game that Drew Brees was out, and now we get him back. I like the way Arizona's playing. I love the running back, Edmonds. I think Edmonds is a major force there, catching the ball out of the backfield and running. Saints are second or third in the NFL against the run, though. So, look, bottom line is we picked the best we could this week with the games. We didn't love a lot of them, and that's just the truth.
There you go. But that's going to do it for us here on the Wager Alarm live stream. We'll have all these picks posted on wageralarm.com as soon as we get our copies of the tickets in, and we'll be good to go. Big thanks to Matt Sells for all the production work, as always. For Craig Mish, I'm Howard Bender. Thanks for watching the Wager Alarm live stream. We'll catch you next time.